Freedom of speech is a right that was given to each person in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. This right is an important one. Today I will introduce a few of the landmark Supreme Court cases that involve student speech. The one I'd like to begin with is the most well-known. Have you heard of the case called Tinker v. Des Moines Independent Community School District? This case took place because one middle school student and two high school students decided to wear black armbands to school in protest of the Vietnam War. When school administrators realized that the students were wearing armbands, they were suspended. Feeling that their First Amendment rights were being trampled on, the three students and their parents contacted a lawyer to pursue the matter in court. These three students, John Tinker, Mary Beth Tinker, and Christopher Eckhart, were changing history. The case eventually ended up in the hands of the Supreme Court. Gold notes that on February 24, 1969, the Supreme Court Chief Justice Abe Fortas made the following famous ruling. It can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. The court also insinuated that as long as the students' actions did not disrupt classes, they had as much right as adults to free speech. It is reasoned by Gold that the ruling in this case set a standard that has been used to judge almost all other questions involving students' rights. Tinker has been popular because the ruling was in favor of the students. However, the next two landmark cases I'm going to talk about did not work out so well for the students. The court found ways to restrict them rather than giving them freedom. The second important landmark case is called Hazelwood School District v. Kohlmeyer. In an article by Steve Weiser, the author reports that students Kathy Kohlmeyer, Leslie Smart, and Leanne Tippett West sued their high school, Hazelwood East, in 1983 when the principal, Robert Reynolds, censored a two-page special section on teenage problems from Spectrum, the school newspaper. The stories were about divorce, runaways, and teenage pregnancy. Weiser explains that those against the school administrators believed that Reynolds censored the writing because he wanted to cover up problems that might ruin the school's excellent reputation. His belief is that Hazelwood v. Kohlmeyer goes to the core of a school's mission to prepare students socially and politically for democracy. Based on the research of a journalist named Mark Walsh, the court ruled in favor of the principal, saying that the officials did not violate the First Amendment when they exercised editorial control over the content of student speech. The third and final case I'm going to talk about is considered to be the first to belittle the rights that were set by Tinker. It's called Bethel School District v. Frazier. Journalist Mark Walsh writes that this case ended up in the Supreme Court because in 1986, Matthew Frazier, a senior in high school, had written a nomination speech for a friend that included sexual innuendos, which resulted in Frazier getting suspended from school. The administrators had thought it was too inappropriate for school, but Frazier says that he was just doing it for laughs from his peers. Frazier was quoted in Walsh's article saying, "If election assemblies are not the one place where kids can speak and push the boundaries a little bit, then what lesson does that teach?" Walsh concludes that the Supreme Court, however, did not agree. The justices ruled that a school district did not violate the First Amendment rights of this high school student. Chief Justice Warren E. Burger also noted that the constitutional rights of students in public school are not automatically coextensive with the rights of adults in other settings. This statement is completely contradicting the Tinker ruling. Free speech issues have always been around. The students of the past have shown bravery in defending themselves against what their school was doing. Speech rights given to students from the Tinker case are slowly diminishing. Current students need to stand firm for their rights even in the face of controversy.